So today, this Sunday, is Compassion Sunday. And we held our first Compassion Sunday in 2010. And that was part of our first step in our vision, which developed into Trinity Cares International. It all started with an idea, a vision that God gave me for a church-to-church partnership. And as we initially asked the church to gather to pray, and God led us and began to give us a direction and unfold that vision, it turned into 5 parts to that vision. Some of you have heard this before, the A, B, C, D, E of our vision. A is to adopt children in need through Compassion International. That's the agency that we partner with. B is to build infrastructure in the community down there in the Dominican Republic, developing clean water, a bakery, other resources for the community. C is to create economic self-sufficiency through microloans. It's how they've set up a number of the activities and the ongoing training that they are doing in the community. D is to develop disciples of Jesus Christ. So we work directly through a local church, and God led us to work with the Mount Zion Church and Pastor Julio that we've partnered now with for the last 8+ years. And E is to experience partnership personally through mission trips. And that's what we're going to hear more from today as we hear from those who participated in the week down in the Dominican Republic and the different teams and all that they were able to do. But this year we sent a team of 33 people to partner with the people of Mount Zion Church and the town of Consuelo in the Dominican Republic. So take a look at this video of their trip, and then we'll hear from Chris Kiley, the director, and he'll introduce the team that went down.
The first thing I'd like to say is I am so grateful and thankful for Trinity Church in the way that each of you support us each year, because we could never do what you just saw without you partnering with us in so many different ways, through prayer, encouragement, as well as your financial gifts to allow us to do what we do. It's a beautiful description, actually, as you look at the church working together. Paul, refers to each part doing its work, and Trinity Cares lives that out every year, and I'm so grateful to be part of that. This year, our theme was Be Bold, 2018. And it came from 2 Corinthians 3:12, and it says, since we have such a great hope, we are very bold. And God kept, months and months and months before the trip started, God just kept replaying that in my mind. Be bold, be bold, be bold. So, okay, I'm going to go forward, and whatever you ask us to do, we're going to do it. And the week started off with a very, very powerful worship service. And I have to say, we have the new kids on the block, the music team, and it was such a blessing to have them there, because all throughout the week there was worship music going on, and I really believe that set the tone for the Spirit to show up and work in such a powerful way. So I'm not going to steal all the thunder, because I'm going to bring up each of our team leaders. Actually, if I can have the team leaders come forward at this point, and each of them are going to share individually of what happened with their teams. So the first team we're going to hear from is Joe Steele led our baseball program, and I'm going to have Joe share a little bit about that.
Good morning. So it's really amazing to see how the Lord works through the game of baseball down in Consuelo. This was our second year doing baseball down there. And the first year we were really establishing relationships, and there were some amazing things that happened. But this year was even better. I really want to start by thanking the team of coaches, Jeremy Schmidt-Key and John Taubel, Steve Moriarty, and Chris Kiley. We have 4 days of baseball down there with the boys that run from about 9 to 5. This year, the unique thing, Monday through Thursday, And this year, the unique thing was we were praying a lot for God to provide a way to bring the boys from Loma de Cabrera, which is much farther north and west in Dominican Republic, probably 230 some odd miles away, about 5 hours, down to Consuelo. No small act. The Lord brought that together through a lot of prayer and through a lot of the efforts and the relationships that John Taubel has established over the last 5 or more years in Loma de Cabrera. And that really set the stage for a lot of the things that we were going to see. So with the Loma boys coming down there, the older boys, 15 boys coming down to play a best-of-3 tournament. The Loma boys prevailed in the best-of-3 tournament. The Consuelo boys won the first game. The Loma boys won the last 2 games. But it was what kind of came out of that was really, truly amazing. And that was really a sense of kind of brotherhood and these relationships that were formed with there. And it started the first day, like even before they came. The first thing that they did when we went into the village was they asked for Max and Henry Ryan, who are the 2 boys that went last year with us. So you could tell that the relationships that we form, like they're looking for us. They, can't wait for us to come back. And, Jeremiah did a great job of forming relationships this year. I have no doubt next year they're going to be asking for him as well. And as you see up here now is a picture of JJ. So JJ is one of our Fellowship of Christian Athlete helpers in many ways. He helps us with the baseball camp. He also does interpretation even of like the sermons that Chris has done when he's down there. So we've grown very affectionate of JJ. JJ had a home invasion and a robbery Sunday before we started. He showed up on Monday. None of his family was hurt, praise God, but they did have a pretty large theft. They were a lot of money, and his wedding ring was taken. And he was fine until about Wednesday. Then we started noticing some differences in JJ. He started processing the fact that I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent. And, we just encouraged him that the Lord would, replenish the things that the enemy had taken. And, we prayed about it. And, by and large, by the end of the week, we were able to give him a gift of double what was taken. So praise God for providing and for, building that relationship. And if you could bring up the next picture of the Loma boys. So the Loma boys came down, and when we were down there, Sister Anna, who I'll talk a little bit more about, she suggested, why don't we have the Loma boys sit at the same table with the Consuelo boys? Normally the teams sit by themselves, right? Talk amongst themselves. And it was just a great time of fellowship and them getting to know one another for about an hour and a half. So these relationships really started to bloom, so much so that by the end, even after Consuelo had a tough loss on their home field, right, to the Loma boys coming down, that you could see the Consuelo boys showed up at the Loma boys hotel with baked goods provided by Mount Zion Church to the Loma boys. So that was really just such a great spirit of friendship and love between the 2 teams. And that really led the stage to the boldness part that Chris is talking about. So last year we really yielded to Fellowship of Christian Athletes, because they're down there all year long to witness and to share the gospel with the boys down there. This year we really felt led that we need to do that. So all of us, John and Chris and I, shared. And then on Wednesday, you can go to the next picture, Sister Anna, who's pictured here and comes from Loma, and as a pastor there, she shared the gospel, and she had an altar call. She said, if you want to put your faith and trust in Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior right now, come forward. And 20 boys came forward. And it was just, wow. So just to be there and to witness that, to pray over those boys and to continue that relationship was such a blessing for me and for all the coaches, I think, that were there. She did the same with the older boys in the afternoon, again, really focusing on the Consuelo boys because she has a relationship with the boys from Loma. And 14 of the Consuelo boys stood up saying they had not yet put their faith and trust in Jesus. None of them came forward, but you could see in their eyes how the Lord was at work in their hearts. So I'd ask for your prayers for the 14 older boys as the Spirit continues to work in their lives. So just an amazing week, and thank you for the opportunity to share.
So we'll hear from Matt Parker, our construction leader.
This is just to keep me on track. Everyone asks me now, when you come back, how was your trip? How was your trip? And I have to say that this was the best trip out of all the 5 years that I've gone with Shannon. This has been fantastic. I mean, the way God brings a team together, I'm talking about every single part, but I mean, our construction team was young people and then not so young, but we all came together. We worked really hard, if you see. So what we're doing for the project this year, last year we built the structure that you see that I'm standing right in front of, is for the Compassion office space, so that Pastor Julio and the CDC can actually be physically on that spot. They'll have their own space. They won't have to share space, and that's going to help with the funding for the Compassion children. So the project this year, we built on the back end, and that's actually going to be a new classroom. So it's actually, we're building a school for the children, for the older kids. And as I like to do when I'm down there, everyone knows Mateo. Mateo, it sounds nice. It's better than Matt. Mateo, everyone's calling all over the place. So I say, come on, let's go. I get like 12, 13-year-olds, even Sam helped, everybody, to bring up some bricks, But I thought it was really cool that these young boys that were there, that are in the community, are actually helping to build their school. You know what I mean? That they'll actually be in one day. And I said to Pastor Julio, we were talking up on the roof there, and with Wilfredo, our construction leader there, and I said, how many years do you think it's going to take to finish this project? And he looked at me like I was crazy, and he said, years. He said, months, Mateo, have some faith. So with a little bit of faith and a lot of love, the village down there, I can't express in my heart how much the village, they just love us so much. I can't tell you how it is. You can see these pictures and how beautiful it was. And again, when Chris said it earlier, to have the music team playing worship music, it takes that burden of bringing those buckets of cement up and down the stairs a lot easier. So that was just, it was amazing. So this is our 5th year for Shannon and I, and Lonnie also 5 years straight. And so I just want to thank you as a church for helping us bring this together, to feel at home here. I see so many faces of people who have gone on trips in the past, so you all are experienced it. You all help us, support us, and I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I truly do love this church. I'm so glad this is our church home, and we have another one in Consuelo. So thank you very much.
Next, Dr. Jane Russo will share about our dental work.
Good morning, everyone. Let us be more aware of your presence, Lord. Let us experience your goodness, Lord. Those were 2 of the sentences that rang out to me when we were singing today. So I just want to, I can't talk. Anyway, 5 years ago, God led me to be the dental leader of the Flossmoor Dental Clinic. Myself, along with my team, transformed a 2-room classroom into a dental clinic. I can remember the first day in the DR. We went to 2 department stores hoping to find suitable tables that could be used as dental chairs. Finally, God led us to the 3rd store, where we bought 3 massage chairs that would be perfect for the job. Then the first day of clinic began. Myself and my team, who had no dental experience, had the daunting task of setting up the Flossmoor. Where to start with 5 suitcases filled of supplies? Again, God led the way. This year, we are a well-oiled machine. My team consists of Lonnie Brown and Charlotte Stokel, who expertly cleaned and sterilized all our instruments and have been fondly called the Clean Dream Team. Mickey and Shannon Parker led up the dental health, offering expert Spanish dental education, toothbrushes, and toothpaste. Matt and Rebecca Raubach, Sandra Simos, Jen Shemecki, and Denise Arpino showed their willingness to get right to work, assisting with extractions, cleanings, and fillings. This team is an excellent group who will take a simple instruction, do what is needed to be done, and then go the extra mile. Again, God led the way. An added benefit this year was having the use of the dental RV, which is a beautiful, amazing truck. I think you saw it right here. It has 2 fully equipped operatories in it with all the supplies and instruments that we were able to do fillings this year. I think the highlight for my trip was the last day we were there, when Jared came into the clinic and he played his guitar and sang. The dentist that worked with me in the RV had an amazing voice, and so she started singing the songs with Jared. And while she and I both restored 2 patients' teeth, Jared and she sang. It was unbelievable. I also got to see Ulissa again. She is one of my favorite patients from last year. She came in for me to clean her teeth. I cleaned her teeth, and this year she wanted me to restore 2 of her teeth. So you can see with this clinic that there's a continuity every year of the same people coming back, and we feel that we are their dentist, that maybe they don't have another dentist to go to. You know what? God brought us all together, and it was a true testament of his love for us. I thank all of you for making this trip possible, and again, thank my team, and especially thank God for the love he has shown us during this week. Thank you, everyone.
And the 4th team, the new kids on the block, as we call them, the music team at Sam Tavo will share for their team.
Well, good morning, everybody. As most of you know, myself and my family have been doing this kind of work for some time now in Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And so every time we enter into a new area, it's quite a challenge because you just have no idea what you're getting yourself into. And musically, that is very, very true, where sometimes we enter into an area and we have the most talented group of kids you could ever imagine, and it's as easy as that. And then sometimes you go and they're all tone deaf, and it's difficult. And so we were just praying on our knees day in and day out before this trip, asking the Lord for his blessing before we go. And sure enough, the Lord provided, and we got there, and we were just overwhelmed by the level of excitement, but also the talent level that was there in Consuelo. These kids are truly blessed with musical abilities, and for us to be able to enter in and to give them practical ways to improve their skills was such a blessing to our team, as well as to them. And I think that they were probably the most receptive group I've ever worked with in my 8 years of working on that island. And we walked in the first day with our plan. You know, you always go with a plan, and then God laughs at you and tells you that there's another plan in place. And so we walked in with our plan, and we had our schedule throughout the first part of the day, and we said, okay, we're just going to do vocal instruction with some minor instrumental instruction during the first part of the day before lunch. And then we'll go back to the hotel. But sure enough, my mom, Carol, who I'll tell you a little bit about why she's here this morning in a minute. She's not supposed to be here. She's supposed to still be in Haiti. She actually was the team leader on this trip, and I'm speaking on her behalf, sort of. So long story short, a couple of us team leaders had this feeling that we needed to offer more. I mean, we have instrumentalists on our team that are very well versed. And so we said to ourselves, there is something kind of pushing us to offer some instruction, further instruction on instruments. So we decided to extend our day. We kind of went on the fly that second day. It was the first day? The first day we decided we're just going to change things up, and we're going to offer some afternoon instrumental classes. And so we had realized that a bunch of the kids had walked into class that first morning with violins. And we said, what? Okay. And so we kind of scratched our heads a little bit, and we ate our lunch, and then we decided we would do some instrumental work. So I decided to teach a little bit of a drum clinic. There was a drum kit there, and there were several kids that were interested and very talented. And so I had 15 kids crowded around me on this drum kit, and we each took turns and taught them some rhythms and some different styles and techniques. Priya Williams and my mom, Carol, instructed the violin group. And this is where things get really interesting, and where God's plan really started to shine through to us, is that they walked into that violin room that day, and they had some very simple beginner exercises like, okay, hold your violin and just play open strings like this, and just to get your bow movement and all of that. And the kids' faces were just like, okay, and they all did it perfectly. And we were like, oh, okay, all right, try this, a little bit more difficult, and they all did it flawlessly. And we said, is there something we're missing here? And much to our surprise, one of the violinists started playing a classical concerto. No joke. And played it flawlessly, with flawless technique, and all of our jaws hit the floor. I mean, it was unbelievable. And then, to follow suit, the rest of these younger kids picked up their violins and started playing arrangements of American pop songs. And we're sitting there just blown away that we didn't have anything planned for this. I mean, we had no idea, and this is kind of going back to what I said, how you just don't know when you're entering into a new area. And so these kids blew us away. And so long story short, we ended up doing violin instruction every day. And Carol went back to the hotel that night and whipped up this arrangement of an American song that the American team that came, we led the song vocally, and we had an ensemble of violinists join us. And it was such an epic moment of just coming together and saying, holy cow, like this is way beyond what we could even imagine. And so God was really already working there and just allowed us to enter in and give them some new material to work with. And now for next year, we have such an amazing vision for that and to bring the right resources and continue. So we had our classes every day, and like the rest of the team said, you saw the picture of the church and how the construction team is building on the top floor, and that bottom floor was where the music team was. And we are very, very loud. The compound is kind of a square compound with different buildings and different, the dental team was here and the construction music team was here, and then so on and so forth. And so everything kind of just reverberated around the compound. And I really do believe that the Lord had such a specific plan for the music team to be there and to be proclaiming these wonderful words of worship over the entire ministry, over the entire team. And it did change the tone for all of us. The Lord provided for us through sickness, through exhaustion, through dehydration, and got us through the week in such a wonderful way. I have to share, too, that it is such a testament to TCI and to the commitment that this church has made and these teams have made, that us, the new music team, we showed up in the very first day. It was the most loving reception I've ever gotten in my life from strangers, from these children and young adults that were just absolutely thrilled that we were there. They didn't know who we were. They knew nothing about us. They knew nothing about what was even going to happen that day. But they came up, and every single one of them just hugged us and thanked us and were so attentive and so engaged. I believe that is such a testament to what TCI is doing in that community, that there is just so much love there for this team. So a little bit quickly about, there was several of us from the music team stayed an extra week after Consuelo, and then some of us were even going to stay a third week to do more work on the island. So I stayed for 2 weeks. I just got back last night. And then several of the rest of the team were supposed to continue on into Haiti to do another week, and there has been some political unrest there, some serious violence. And so the team was prohibited from going into Haiti, and so the whole week was canceled. As you can imagine, flights and travel and all of that is just insane. And so to add that component of the surprise of having to come back suddenly was insane. And all of us went into hyperdrive mode trying to find flights. And before we left the first week in Consuelo, every single team member on the TCI team and our children who we were teaching in Consuelo told us that they would be praying for us as we continued our work on the island. And I firmly believe that those prayers covered us because the Lord provided 7 plane tickets for the rest of our team on the same flight that I was taking to leave yesterday night. And the rest of the team that was supposed to continue on miraculously found 7 plane tickets on the same flight as me. So praise the Lord for that, and thank you all for your prayers. It was a really powerful week, and I am so excited to see what the Lord's going to do as we move forward with this music team.
So you get a little flavor of what happened this week. But with any of you that are involved in ministry at any level, you know that it doesn't happen without leadership. And I just want to thank these guys for going above and beyond of stepping up to the plate to lead their teams in such a great way. And for Carol as well, who's not up here, but led all those rehearsals in Spanish and getting the team ready. As Sam said, really set the tone for the whole week, and the Spirit was very evident in what we did all week long through the 4 teams. So thank you for all your prayers, because I know God moves when His people pray, and I know a lot of what happened was because of your prayers. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris, and all the whole team. I think some of you got maybe your first taste or first information about this church-to-church partnership. And
I forgot one more thing. There's a lot of team members here. Could you all stand up if you were part of the team this year?
Some of them have yellow shirts on, so they got yellow shirts, but some of them didn't wear their shirts today. But yeah, great. So this year there are some non-Trinity people joined the team, but obviously the Trinity folks were the vast majority of it. But for some of you, this may have been your first taste, first information about this church-to-church partnership that God's built over the past 8-10 years. But over and over again, we have seen how God has gone before us, and the vision that He gave us, and how we began to just try to be obedient to what He's shown us each step of the way. And when we showed up, He showed up. And we saw that from buses showing up at the right time, and transportation, and finding dental tables, and just the people that we met. Over and over, we saw God go before us. And this vision continues to expand and unfold. But all of it started back, and the foundation of that whole piece is this the sponsorship of children. That's how we really began. And that continues to be sort of the foundation of all that. It's the way that you may never be able to go on a mission trip, but you can sponsor a child in the Dominican Republic and make a difference. If you do go on a mission trip, you can visit your child and see them in person and meet their family. But the opportunity to sponsor a child is one of the things we said, this is a way that everyone at Trinity can have a part and be involved in the work that God's doing with this church-to-church partnership. When we started the first Compassion Sunday that we had, we didn't know what God would do, but we sort of followed the routine. We explained a little bit of what we're going to do. And that first Compassion Sunday, as a church, we sponsored over 60 children. I mean, if you do the math, That's a commitment of over $30,000 a year in relieving poverty in this town. But I had a vision, part of the vision says, I believe that God wanted that we would sponsor over 100 children. And I tell people, people would laugh. How could that ever happen? Well, a number of years ago, as we continue to do that, we've sponsored 100 children, and it was a great excitement to see what God was doing, but we kept growing. And today, people from Trinity Church sponsor over 137 children. I think it's 138 children in the Dominican Republic. And you have an opportunity, if you haven't done that, or if you'd like to sponsor a second child, to do that today. The children that you see up on the screen are children in the Mount Zion Church, their Child Development Center. They've started there, but every one of these 9 children are in need of a sponsor. And we have their packets here this morning available for you to pick one out and sponsor. No one else can sponsor them until we release those packets. And if we return them, no one else, if we don't sponsor them, during this week, no one else can. But this is the opportunity that we have, and a unique opportunity to connect directly with the church that we are partnering with. And that's what we've set up through Compassion, is this direct church-to-church connection and sponsorship. So I want to invite you to take that step. These children need your help. And we're asking, will you take that step to release them, to help them be released from poverty? $38 a month is what it takes to sponsor a child. If you'd like to do that, if you'd like to sponsor one of these children, or you have questions about it, I think Jane Russo is going to be in the library after the service, and you can talk with her. The packets are there that you can pick up and pick one of these children. And all different names. You can sponsor Jesus. Oh, Jesus, okay. But yeah, there's one of the kids, an Angel. You can sponsor Angel. There's any of these kids you can sponsor. So you take a few moments and you can do that if that's the Lord leads you to have a part of this partnership. Please join me in prayer. Father, thank you for the amazing opportunities that you give us to see your hand at work, to be a part of the work of your kingdom. That we as a church, as we've sought to trust you and believe you and be obedient to you, and the vision that you've given us, you've gone before us over and over again, providing, and to where today it's certainly way beyond what we originally saw, much more than my personal friendship with Pastor Julio. Clearly, Lord, that it truly has become a church-to-church partnership with the relationships and the work that's being done in Consuelo. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for this team and all that you used them in the past week. It's amazing to see people that keep coming back year after year because of the opportunity to serve you and to serve the people in the area of Mount Zion. We ask that you would continue, Lord, to go before us, to fulfill your heart and your vision for this community. Lord, we're grateful for what you're doing, and we trust that you will continue to do that mighty work for your honor and glory.